So our next presentation is from the Digital Governance Lab, and their pitch is on an app, Cricket, information without internet. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry. And thank you, Thea, for advising these guys all semester.
Ready?
Ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a second and imagine the internet that we enjoy today in the 20th century is not there. The unfiltered content that you're enjoying is not accessible. The posts you make can't get out to your audience. And furthermore, the ideas that you can post may be held against you. This is the reality for millions of internet users in the developing and developed world, and makes the main pillar of our problem. So the internet is essential to modern day communications and spread of information. Yet, access is often compromised, either due to poor infrastructure or malicious censors. Fundamentally, people are having their freedom of speech degraded. This is especially relevant to people in protest situations, we found, particularly those in Hong Kong. A couple weeks ago, information about the pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong began to be released, and our group wondered how these people in China, a place notorious for their levels of internet censorship, could communicate their ideas effectively to organize demonstrations. Our research revealed that they'd found an application called FireChat. Now this is a screenshot from FireChat. And what FireChat does is go beyond the traditional mobile networks and internet and use Bluetooth to communicate messages. It sends out a message into space with about a 200-foot range, and all Bluetooth receptors in that area receive it and pick it up. Now that range is quite limited, however, each relay is able to send it another 200 feet, creating an essential daisy chain, making it unlimited in range. So our group wanted to see if this was an effective way for protesters to organize themselves. So we downloaded the app in our group and tried to use it. And some flaws became immediately clear. The information we were receiving was irrelevant and completely unorganized. As well, it requested a ton of personal information and app permissions upon download. Beyond that, it systematically checked current locations and stored that information on a vulnerable server. It was easily infiltrated, even by people that did not have the app installed. It had no encryption on the messages. Each one could be read quite easily. And it was the only tool available to these protesters to communicate without mobile networks and without the internet. That's what our group thought of FireChat. And in fact, in their report on FireChat, the Citizen Lab, based out of the Munk School of Global Affairs, agreed with us. They said in the report on security, all messages sent and received are stored unencrypted on the device. It is also possible for anyone to visit an IP address in a web browser to see the most recent messages. Obviously, for a protester who's worried about incarceration due to their ideas, FireChat is not a solution. So what is? Our group has designed and built an application called Cricket. So Cricket builds off of the Bluetooth foundations set up by FireChat, but improves in almost every other area. This includes anonymity. There's no servers, and all the information is stored locally and subject to Google and Apple's new encryption, and this prevents cyber attacks. All the content is user-filtered and highly organized, which will be outlined later. As well, the data is encrypted. And it focuses more on information dissemination rather than a Bluetooth chat room, which we'll also go into more detail later. So what do we need from you as our investors? We are looking for $7,000 to initiate our project, and the breakdown of that money is outlined on the backside of the handout in front of you. So now I'm going to pass it over to my group member, Victoria, that'll go into the information dissemination capabilities of Cricket.
All right, so as Nathan just mentioned, a very important facet of Cricket is its external connectivity and its ability to disseminate relevant and accurate information. So in order to do this, we hope to form partnerships with news outlets such as the BBC. Carl Cathuria, who is the CEO of Siphon, the creators of the most successful encrypted mobile browser to date, has initiated this sort of partnership with Siphon. And when our team met with him, he made it clear that news organizations would be very inclined to partner in order to distribute articles that normally wouldn't be able to be accessed due to censorship or broken infrastructure. So in terms of implementation of our plan, this can be divided into short-term and long-term goals. So our priority would firstly be to increase the array of devices. So in order to do this, we would hire additional programmers to make Cricket accessible through a variety of different operating systems. To do this, we would be required to raise funds, and this would be through investors such as yourselves, through grants, and through crowdsourcing. This money would be used towards further development, which would make our app more secure, easier to use, and add more features. Lastly, we would hope to incorporate and patent our application, and as well begin advertising in order to broaden our user base. Now we're also looking into the long term and its sustainability for our application, so I'm just going to briefly highlight a few areas in which we are hoping to continue with. First and foremost, we'd like to initiate a pilot project, which would sort out any kinks that are occurring within the software, therefore making it much more reliable when it's actually used in real-world situations. We'd like to also monetize. We are not not-for-profit, but we do realize that we do need funds in order to continue keeping Cricket working at an optimal level. In the same vein as this, we'd like to keep the service at a high level. If we have a superlative level of service, Cricket will be relevant for years to come, which is what our hope is. And we're also aware that Bluetooth technology is changing at a rapid rate, and therefore we'd like to incorporate all these advances in said technology within Cricket for the years to come. For example, there's one area that we're very interested in, which is these Bluetooth signal enhancers. With those installed and using Cricket, we could send messages much farther as the signal is increased. Now I'd like to hand this over to Alex, who will present a demo for you.
Thank you. So as you can see, this really good. It just froze. Oh no. Yeah.
Right.
Apparently QuickTime cannot record while it's presenting, so I apologize for that. But this is the screen of Cricket. Can you see? Okay. So this is the Explore tab, where all the messages posted by people using Cricket appear. Then you have the Popular tab, where only messages that have been actively shared by community members are displayed, thereby ensuring more relevancy. And then the third tab is the Feed tab, where only content by people I follow is displayed. Now, if you would please.
Just going to demo, hand a phone off to one of our judges to maybe test out the app, send a message up to the front door, just a short greeting.
And I'm only using Bluetooth. I'm not sure if it's clear or not, but I'm on airplane mode, so the only means of connection is Bluetooth.
And then the post is up in the corner.
So hello, what is going on? I just received the message over there.
Yes.
Now I have three options. I can either follow you, if I think you post relevant, good content. I can, if I feel the content isn't relevant, I can report it as spam or block you. And I can press this button over there, the blue one, to spread the network, spread the message further along the network. So that will conclude the demo. I would like to pass it over back to Sydney. So let me put QuickTime back on. I think the computer just froze.
It's adjusting the image, all right. There we go, all right, excellent. So as I was speaking about long-term goals before, we have also looked at a few different possibilities of where we can go next with our app. We've already spoken about protest situations, specifically in Hong Kong, and we believe that Cricket would be very helpful in those situations in providing accurate information to protesters that has not been infiltrated by government or other malicious organizations. In addition, we've looked at partnering with NGOs in natural disaster areas and relaying information about medical supplies, places of shelter, places where food is available that will benefit those people when the infrastructure has been broken down. And we've also looked at festival situations where the Wi-Fi may be overloaded. As Bill Gates has said, the internet is becoming the town square for the global village of tomorrow. We believe that Cricket has the promise of being an essential and primary means of communication for those in our global village who need it most. Those who are denied the basic human right of free, unbiased information that has the potential to change their lives for the better. Thank you.
Yay. Questions? John?
Okay, sure. So a couple of basics. Your ask is 7,000 per month, so approximately 120 for the next year. 120,000.
We're looking for 7,000 to initiate the project,
Yeah.
and then it'd be 2,000 every month.
Right. Okay. Okay. Got it. And why very quickly a nonprofit?
We don't particularly need to profit off of an app. What that's intention is to provide freedom of speech for those who don't have it already. We think that that's more of a basic right than something that we need to be making a profit off.
I don't disagree with that. However, I would say if you're pitching investors, we want to see a for-profit model. There, you have some massive scale opportunities by looking at some other apps in the marketplace that you can quickly monetize this. So I would think about a bigger ask up front. No one's going to come in at such a small value. And I would think about some of the other applications that you talked about might be a little bit easier for others to come into first and allow you to work on this play. So very, very much my investor hat on, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I may have missed this, but you didn't make it clear who you're pitching to. Who are you pitching to?
Investors.
So it's a generic
Generic
investors.
investors.
Yes.
Right. So what interest you? So I'm a skeptical investor, and I want to know why I should support an app that enables protest. What's in it for us? In fact, you guys cause a lot of trouble for us. Why should we enable you?
The intention of the app isn't necessarily to cause trouble. It's to allow more open communication and speech in countries where that might not be allowed. It's not. The app isn't particularly intended to bring about the destruction.
So
of
maybe
government.
so maybe you might want to rethink the examples that you use when you're pitching to investors, right?
Yeah,
Use
that's
that-
we tried to cite some future possibilities. So hopefully, like festival and convention situations, there are places where we could partner with the organizers,
Right.
promote this app so that they have like a passport into people's pockets that could send out this.
Yeah. What
this
about
very-
secure intra-corporate communication for teams that are in the field, for instance, where you don't want to be dependent?
Sure.
Could
That's
you
definitely an
imagine-
avenue we could go down as well.
So you might want to think about doing more of that in your presentation, because you have to pique Jonathan's interest here, right?
Of course.
In one of your final slides, you talk about protests and festivals. And it would seem to me that those would be very different things. One would be about the security of the information, and the other is really just about scale, I think you said.
Yes.
Can you do all that for $7,000?
Sure.
Yes.
The foundation of the app allows it to be used in both situations.
Apps are not expensive to create, and as far as like the differences go, they protesters and festival goers certainly need very different things. Certainly are after very different things, but they both need a way to communicate without traditional mobile networks or being reliant on the internet.
As Nathan mentioned, there are no servers. Therefore, we do not need all the information is stored on the app. So, if the user downloads the app, we don't have any backend problems to deal with. Therefore, it's very scalable.
Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you.